Hello, welcome back to Bestseller Summit Online. I'm your host, Jesse Krieger. Hope you're enjoying the summit so far. Joined today by a special guest, Guy Vincent, founder of Publishizer. Guy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, and a lot of exciting content that we can jump into today on this call. You know, Publishizer is a company that we have an ongoing partnership with. At this time that we're recording, we've pre-launched, I think, 8 books through Publishizer, and in that process, generated tens of thousands of dollars of pre-sales in book revenue before these books even come out. So we're going to tell you how that all works and sort of peel back the curtain, because Guy sits at the intersection of, you know, publishers and authors and aspiring authors. And I'll let him talk a little bit about the platform and how it's used to really pre-launch your book and get on publishers' radar. Exciting stuff. But before we jump into all that, you know, Guy, I'd love to hear a little bit about, you know, your background as an entrepreneur, because I know you're a very dynamic guy, and how you ultimately came to found Publishizer.
Sure. And thank you for bringing the authors to Publishizer, Jesse. They've been an absolute pleasure to work with, and some great books coming out of Lifestyle. So
yeah, the publisher behind my head.
I can see them. They're looking good. Nothing like them in print. Mindlift, Drug of Choice, they were excellent. Yes. So I mean, many years ago, if I really trace it back, as a student at University of Melbourne, I was kind of looking for ways to earn a little bit of extra beer money. And I'd read about the rise of ebooks and online internet marketing, and I was quite taken by, you know, the potential for ebooks. I decided to write an ebook on how to wake up early. It was something which I was exploring at the time. There was great traffic for it. I thought there was a good market for it because it was something that I had been struggling with myself. So I self-published this ebook, put it up on Google Ads. On day one, I sold 2 copies. So it was like not an instant success, but I optimized the content, the cover, the advertising, the copy, and eventually the thing sold, you know, over 1,000 copies, which I was quite happy with, and just got, you know, my hands dirty on how to write and self-publish an ebook. Unknowingly, years later, this experience would result in me starting up the digital publishing division of Southeast Asia's largest book printing company. They needed an ebook expert, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an ebook expert. I know EPUB and PDF. Yeah, no problems. And it was while I was working at this company, Tianhua Press, huge, full-scale offset book printing company, printing 70% of the pop-up books in the world, hardcore art books, full color, the whole thing. It was a wonderland, like Willy Wonka's factory for books. I really started to fall in love with the publishing industry. But pretty much on a daily basis, I would be meeting independent writers, illustrators, artists, novelists, speakers who were coming to me wanting to do both a print book and an ebook, but they normally couldn't afford it. And so this was happening so much, I found myself telling them, you should crowdfund it, you should use Kickstarter, it's great. They were like, yeah, but I still need more help on how to do this whole thing. So I started to reach the point where I thought maybe there was a potential business for a crowdfunding platform for books that would help authors with the publishing side of things. And so I quit my job, I moved to India, I partnered up with 2 German guys, Martin and Toby, software engineers, and we built this crowdfunding platform for books. Publishizer. It was kind of a joke, publish it in German, but it actually kind of sounds pretty stupid in German, which which was part of an inside joke. But you know, here we are.
It stuck, didn't it?
It stuck. People remember Publishizer.
It's so funny because you know, my book initially, Lifestyle Entrepreneur, came out in Southeast Asia, but only in print form. And I didn't think much about it at the time because there really wasn't a thriving, you know, ebook market yet back in 2012, or if there was, it was still predominantly print. So it's cool to hear that part of your background is in, you know, that area, and that actually being an ebook expert by virtue of self-publishing got you that opportunity.
That's right.
So once you sort of identified, okay, that maybe there's a basis for an idea here, helping authors crowdfund or creating a platform for people to crowdfund the money to self-publish or to, how did that develop into Publishizer, and then how did you initially launch?
And then all the problems began, as they do when you start a business. So no, I was very lucky. I already had a bunch of people who said that they were willing to launch a campaign if I started this platform. And our first campaign was a cookbook for backpackers, the Backpacker Chef, little pocket size, kind of rounded corner, hardcover bound, full color cookbook. Jackie raised about $5,000, more than enough to do an offset print run of 1,000 copies, a few children's books. And eventually we had a speaker in Singapore, Scott Bales, do a campaign which just crushed it and did $29,000 in pre-orders. And he was like, I really need a publisher. I don't really want to self-publish. He was quite serious about, his standards and getting it out there. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, shoot, well, maybe we can publish it. So we actually, contracted an editor and designer and interior layout, jacket, printing, ISBNs, barcodes, like, about all this stuff, Jesse, but there's actually like another 50 back-end functions that all need to be sorted out, let alone fulfillment and marketing and distribution and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't imagine how we could handle building a platform and being a publisher. I know that some of our competitors, Inkshares and Unbound, were doing that and doing that very successfully, but I just didn't think that was where we could do our best for our authors. So I started kind of sending them towards publishing companies, a few people who I'd met, and our authors were having a great experience working with professionals who knew what they were doing. And as the platform started growing, we got into 500 startups in Silicon Valley. They invested some money. Things were happening. And we had to figure out a way to, I guess, handle this in a more systematized way. I was just like, speak with this person, speak with that person, speak with that person. But the idea came, well, what if we kind of use software and filters to query large numbers of publishers who can have all the information, they can express interest, and we'll put the author and the publisher directly in contact with each other. And our authors started calling this crowd publishing. One of our authors wrote a big article about how he crowd published his book. I thought, oh, it's kind of a cool term. And we've been optimizing this software, making a ton of mistakes along the way. Literally, like, you name it, we've screwed it up somewhere along the way.
It's kind of par for the course for starting a business, though, isn't it?
It is. And but we've been very lucky. Like, our authors have funded close to $1 million US. We've got 120 really phenomenal publishers signed up, receiving proposals from us. And we're getting ready to, I guess, launch into the next phase. We've been doing a bunch of surveys and really trying to understand what's the best way to essentially reimagine the literary agency in the age of platforms. Like, what does that look like? The traditional literary agent, they've still got their market share, but it's very like traditional Big Five, New York, small scale, kind of stuff. But there are millions of people out there who want to get their book published, but how do they find the best publisher to work with? That's the problem that we want to solve. And I think we can. I think we're at the very beginning, just the first step on creating a platform which can really fulfill that function. Yeah,
I think you're well on your way. And congratulations on just about hitting the 1 million mark in terms of books pre-sold through the platform. I'm just reflecting as you're sharing the origin story of Publishizer, how, I feel like I've kind of worked with Publishizer in a different way than you might have intended. And it occurs to me that that's kind of one of the fun things about being in a startup environment, is that you can try creative avenues. And what I mean by that, for everybody that's watching, is, at Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press, we have a done-for-you publishing model where we work with authors from their idea creation or from a finished manuscript all the way through to a book launch. And now we routinely bring these authors when they're at this stage where they're getting ready to launch and run Publishizer campaigns which is a little different than perhaps what Guy described as the original intention of having a platform where you as an author can upload, you know, a proposal and a synopsis and a video, and then get people to pre-order books. And as it turns out, and as we'll talk about, higher end products and services that are priced in terms of books, and then get on the radar of publishers. So I'm starting to use your platform the way that you originally envisioned it too, indicating interest on the different campaigns.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's how you learn, right? By really testing. And it's something which we encourage pretty much all of our authors to do is, you know, as much testing as you can do leading up to your book launch, the better off you will be. You know, we really understand that the first and foremost, they want to get their book out there. They need the funds. Because no matter how you publish your book, there's always going to be expenses incurred, especially on editorial and marketing. Those are two things which you really can't get enough of. So, you know, the platform can fulfill that function. And then as an added bonus, if you aren't already, you know, if you don't already have a publisher lined up, you know, you can have these offers. But it's kind of like understanding the hierarchy of needs for what you want to achieve.
Yeah, let's dive into that. I mean, maybe you can say from your perspective now, having seen, you know, hundreds, if not a number of campaigns on the platform, what's the right approach for an author who, let's say, is in a situation where they have an idea for the book and maybe they've even started writing and now they're committed to getting it done and realize that they're going to need some funding and perhaps want to lean on their network, lean on their peers and friends and family. What's the best approach to setting up and running, you know, a pre-launch campaign through Publishizer and getting on the radar of publishers?
It's having a plan. So in the traditional book publishing world, something which many people haven't even heard of, and understandably because there hasn't been a lot of talk about it, it's all based around book proposals. Honestly, most editors, most publishers don't want to see your manuscript. Whether you're fiction, nonfiction, it begins with a query, you know, just basically, what's your book idea in 30 words? Who are you in 30 words? Like, why are you the best person to do that? If they're interested in that, then they want to read your proposal, which is your synopsis, an outline of your book. It's about you as an author and your platform. How are we going to reach readers with it? What's the competition out there? And maybe a sample chapter or two. If they're interested in that, then they may request your manuscript if it's fiction. If it's nonfiction, you don't even need to have a finished manuscript in order to work with a publisher. 80% of nonfiction books are acquired at the proposal stage before the book is written. The reason for this, I guess there's two main reasons. One is editorial strategy. When you're working with someone from an earlier stage in the project, they can help you create a story arc and really, you know, write the book more efficiently and to a higher standard. The second one is you can really start to plan how you're going to launch this book. Many authors make the mistake like, I'll just write it, I'll just put it up on Amazon and people will just find me and it's going to be a huge bestseller. Or they hope that people will find it and share it. But it doesn't work like that. You're competing with a million other people who are doing the same thing every year. So you have to find a way to stand out. So the way to do that, in my opinion, we designed Publishizer all around the concept of book proposals, because the more we can educate authors and get them to think about their target audience at a very clear, concrete, demographic, sociographic level, the better. The more detailed they're thinking about how they're going to reach communities that are aligned and looking for their content. You know, what's your platform look like? What are the missing links that we can fill in there? Which partners can we bring in to fill in those gaps? That's when you're going to be more likely to have a successful result when you launch.
Yeah, so every author watching this, you know, pay attention, because it may not be comfortable to think about your book or your book idea in terms of who's my target audience? How would I describe my book in a few short sentences? What are the other books out there that may be comparable? If you don't understand where you may fit in to the book market, then you're kind of walking into this whole game blindfolded. And you know, take it from Guy, and I can second the fact that as a publisher, you as an author may think, oh, I've got this amazing book, and here's like a 150-page manuscript. Could you take a look and let me know what you think? But who really has time
No way.
to not only read
the time.
not only read hours of content, but formulate, feedback and give it to you. That's actually, as Guy just shared, a few steps down the road of, having conversations with the publisher. So once somebody has that together and now they're getting ready to launch a campaign, what are sort of the final steps before somebody goes live on Publishizer with their campaign, and how do they really make the most of the platform to engage potential readers, customers, and clients?
Yeah, so I can speak from what we do. Of course, there are many different ways to launch a book depending on which strategy you're going to take. But you've written your proposal, you've submitted it. One of our guys will respond to you, give you advice on how to improve it, make it sound a bit better, like angle it towards publishers a bit better. And after that's been approved, you'll receive an email, and then we get into the phase of let's start building subscribers. So don't just launch blindly. Of course you can, but let's get people excited about this. So using this subscribers feature, you can make posts on Facebook, just like, hey guys, I'm going to be launching a book in a couple of weeks. Check out my video, and they can just click a button to subscribe to updates. You can connect to your Google contact list. You can invite 100 people at a time to follow along and subscribe. And a few other things, like LinkedIn allows you to export your contacts. You can invite them. People who are in a more professional field are often a good group to go after, because they like it when people publish books. It's like, oh, wow, they've often thought of that themselves. They want to follow along on your journey and be a fly on the wall. But of course, when you come to actually launch your campaign, you'll be posting updates about how things are going. You're hitting various milestones, great things are happening. And each time you post updates, these subscribers will just receive it. And it's very personal. It's very fun. And of course, there's a little pre-order a copy button down there. And often that's what translates, because it's an experience for them. It's not just buy my book. It's guiding them through this whole journey. They've seen it come together. They've been getting ready for the launch. It's kind of fun. It's exciting. For me, it's exciting to watch that come together.
It is. And I'm sure you can put yourself in the mindset of being a part of a story that's developing, being a part of seeing somebody go from idea through to getting a successful number of pre-orders and ultimately to publishing a book. People like to be a part of a success story. And it's actually very much to your benefit, authors, to start building your audience and bringing people along in the development of your book months before it's actually released. You don't want to just take the Spider-Man approach of one day you pop out like, hey everybody, I know you haven't seen me for a while, but I've been working on a book and here it is.
Yeah, people want to know. People, like, especially the people who are closest to you or in your circle, like, it's interesting. Like, don't just keep that away. I think a mistake which many authors make is nobody cares, or they don't want to hear from me so much. No, they do. They can unsubscribe if they don't want to follow along, but they're opting in to say, yeah, that's cool, dude. You're writing a book. Like, I want to know how that's coming along. 90% of people want to publish a book. That's like a huge amount of people. So when one of your friends is doing it, that's basically the most likely person who you're going to ask when you come to do it about how can I do it? Whether it's like a more business book to kind of build your career, or like a creative project. So many people have these just crazy, awesome, cool ideas for books, which are amazing, but they just don't know how to do it. So here's an opportunity. Share your journey with other people, and they will follow along and support you.
So right away, Publishizer gives you the option to bring in and invite your existing network through LinkedIn or Google, wherever those people may be. And then you get to sort of tell them a story over time as it's developing and as your campaign's running. And one of the things I think is one of the smartest things you've done with the platform, Guy, is have these different level of, I call them bonus tiers, that basically are, let's just give an illustration. So you've got a book and you can say, pre-order a copy of my book for $20, right? Mm-hmm. But then you can go further and say, for $75, you'll get a signed copy of my book and a paperback and maybe, a video course or something I've created. Mm-hmm. And then you can go at $250, You can have a one-on-one coaching consultation with me and 10 books, et cetera, all the way up to, in some cases, like with Mindlift, one of our books, there was like a $3,000 retreat that was a week-long retreat that you got to go on with the author that he facilitated, but it also pre-sold 100 books in the process. So on the campaign page, you're seeing, total number of books pre-sold, total number of revenue, and somebody like a publisher like myself can scan through and say, oh, wow, this campaign is really doing well. And so it's not just about selling or pre-selling a book at a time. And the thing I love with all the campaigns that we've done with you, whether it's yourself or somebody on your team, is helping come up with ideas on what those upper price tiers could comprise
higher
of.
Price bonuses.
Which is really another way of saying, what's your business strategy in addition to just having this book? So in the course of a month-long campaign, you can pre-sell some coaching slots. You could start to fill seats on a retreat. You could have a group video training program or online training program that's launching simultaneous to pre-selling books and actually getting money in the door. So
it's one of the most fun. Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, what would you say in terms of thinking through the strategy of setting different levels of pricing, different experiences people can get, and how that pre-sells books in the process?
Yeah, make it fun. Like that's the whole idea of this book launch campaign, is to make it fun and allow people to interact with you as an author, but in other spheres of your life, which you can share with them as well. I mean, you've got the business side of it. We know based on our dashboards and our metrics, and when we track them, the revenue isn't coming from the $10 ebooks or the $20 soft copies. It's coming from the $50 patron tiers, the $100 book launch tiers, the one-on-one coaching tiers, $1,000, $25, $3,000. We've even had people like doing $10,000 tiers put through the platform.
Which kind of people would those be?
They're speakers. Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to drop a little love for drug of choice. We actually pre-sold 1,000 copies for $10,000 to a company that the author had done business with.
Yeah.
And of course that looks really good when all of a sudden your campaign launches and you've got $10,000 of pre-orders and 1,000 books pre-sold.
Yeah.
So the other thing about Publishizer, is that there's sort of a ranking or a hierarchy. You can see which campaigns are doing the best if you're casually browsing through. And of course, it feels good as an author to say, like, yeah, look at how many books we've pre-sold so far.
Exactly. On the publishing side, that's pretty much the best thing you can do as well. So if a publisher knows that you can do speaking engagements and sell large bundles of books, they're going to be beating a path to your door. They know that these are the people who ultimately drive large numbers of sales. They're out there, they're face first, they're presenting to the world, they're speaking. That's just like a given. So if you can close a few of these larger speaking kind of, even like workshops, consulting, one-on-one, it's all good stuff. It all builds up your numbers of copies. Publishizer captures all this stuff in a spreadsheet to make it super easy for fulfillment. So yeah, it makes more money for you as an author. It attracts publishers. But on the reader's side of things, it's just fun. Like, one of the best things about Publishizer, and I guess one of the fun parts about my job, is I get to interact with all these people, very interesting people doing interesting things. And I get to look through all these bonuses and, things pop up and you're like, that sounds amazing. I want that. Right now, there's an author, a fiction author in Canada. He has a bonus tier where you get a tarot card reading, like a video tarot card reading, and one of my friends loves that. So I pre-ordered a copy for him, and he got a tarot card reading from this guy in Canada. It's really fun. Like, how cool is that? It only costs $20. So, and yeah, a whole range of things. Experiences do really well. Like the chance, I know you've got a lot of thought leaders who are working with you, Jesse. So the chance to kind of do a one-on-one session or get coaching from these guys. Sometimes they are offering a discount, but you're getting a bundle of books. You'll often get a bunch of other digital goodies as well. It's actually not something which is always an option for you outside of a limited 30-day kind of promo campaign like this.
Yeah. So I hope that this is starting to get the wheels turning for everybody watching about, as you're thinking about your book, also think about what else would you do to further the experience that a reader has, to further engage them with you as the author and potentially / entrepreneur. And that's really the focus of this summit, is giving you these different strategies. I think perhaps more than most of the other interviews, what we're talking about here is the high level strategy of where your book fits into your broader business and brand, and having a finite window of time, the campaign, to really drum up some business, drum up some pre-sales, and get on the radar of people who you definitely want checking out your book. What does it look like, from your view, or for an author that's doing a good campaign, in terms of the interest from publishers and what that all looks like for the author?
Yeah, so we've been playing around with what is the best way to, we're on a mission to connect the world's authors and publishers. So how do we do that? I know up until this point, we've basically been setting various milestones. For example, sell 100 copies, we'll query out to one bunch of publishers. 250, we'll go to another wave of publishers. 500 copies, we'll go to another wave of publishers. We're in the process now of transitioning away from that and doing a weekly summary. We've been surveying editors at publishing houses, how do you want to interact with authors who you're interested in? And they said, yeah, great, send me a summary of all your proposals. I want to know who are all the guys you are working with. But, there's got to be some kind of system to it. And fortunately, we've got these authors who are pre-selling copies. So we have a very natural, organic ordering kind of system. So while they're browsing, they can still find things that they're particularly looking for, but it's presented to them the way they like to receive it. So if let's say you're an author, you've launched a campaign, the more copies you're selling, you're just going to appear higher at the top. But you're going to have a chance to get in front of hundreds of potential publishers. This is the power of crowd publishing. So they'll all be receiving it. We present it to them the way they like it. They can read your proposal. If they're interested, they just click a button that says interested. That will then allow them to message you directly. So in the traditional sense, authors are kind of coming to publishers like, please publish my book. The way that we do it, the author is showing the publisher, I can sell, I've got a market, I've got an audience, here's my proposal. Publisher says, yeah, great, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Here's what we can do for you, here's how we work. And so the publisher comes to the author with information about, their offering.
And so then at that point, do you hand off the relationship, and now the publisher and the author just take it from there if there's interest?
Yeah. So we try to do things as directly as possible. So we put them directly in contact with each other. The author will receive a bunch of offers from a bunch of different publishers. It's not just publishers, it's people. Publishing companies are made up of human beings. So you'll get to meet various different people at these publishing houses. And, they'll meet people like yourself, Jesse, who's like, here's what we can offer. Here are our packages. These are the authors we work with. And it's a perfect offering for certain types of authors. Chances are they didn't even know that this existed to them. They were just thinking about Big Five, Penguin Random House, when realistically, that's probably not the best option for you, even if they were interested.
It's true. And, I consider ourselves a hybrid publisher, even though now we have full nationwide distribution. We have a different approach in that, we're really involved in both the book creation and the strategy and the launch. And different publishers across the spectrum, which we've talked about in other interviews on the summit, from self-publishing all the way up to the big traditional publishing houses, suit different authors' needs. So the nice thing about Publishizer is it lets you speak in terms of book pre-sales, basically. In this case, books talk or money talks. And if publishers see, oh, wow, this person's hustling and drumming up support for their book, then that's probably somebody you want to get in conversation with.
Yeah, it's not always about the pre-sales. It's just an indicator. Basically, it's like can you sell, can't you sell? It's not about maximizing necessarily to get as much interest. You've got to have an idea that resonates with the publisher. If you can write, that helps. They like storytelling, they like narrative, they like character development. Even if it's nonfiction, you can still bring in these writing elements. which is what really attracts publishers. It's a combination. It's a business, but it's an art. So, if you can do a little bit of both, you're going to be a much lower risk acquisition, which means you're more likely to have interest from publishers.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to point out that I really like that you've done with the platform is, in our case, when we brought an author, we've already have a publishing deal with them. But in some cases, I've talked to authors who have run campaigns, and then I can simply look and see and watch their video and read a sample chapter and see what they've offered as the other bonus tiers. It actually gives me a much better idea for what they're up to in the broader sense when I'm coming into initial conversation. But what I love that you do now is when an author signs with a company, you actually show on their campaign signed with this publishing company.
Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press.
Yeah. Lifestyle Entrepreneurs, but also putting a link to where people can buy the book. So you have a campaign window that's usually around a month, but then now say they get a publishing deal and the book's out, people can come back to that campaign page for all time, and it exists even after the fundraising period is over, which I think is probably a good way to drive sales of your book once it is out. Anything you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, the reason that we did that, we had authors, we've had quite a number of bestsellers come out of Publishizer. These authors already have a community. When they come to launch, they're using the updates feature to kind of get their subscribers and people who pre-ordered ready to post reviews. So that's kind of one of the things you need to get into the bestseller rankings on Amazon. What we found was a lot of these guys, we were having people coming to us every single day saying, oh, I want to buy the Lean brand, I want to buy Platform Scale, I want to buy Ayahuasca. Where is it? Because our campaign, it was just a campaign page for pre-orders. And we thought, why is everyone finding us? It turned out that when we looked into the technical side of SEO, our pages rank really highly on SEO because of all the sharing activity. It's dynamic from the updates.
It's so smart.
And we didn't even intend for that. That wasn't.
It's funny, because I noticed that sort of right away. It's like, say we've got a campaign page, which is always just publishizer.com/the book name. So now publishizer.com/drug of choice. Once the book's out, you do a search for drug of choice, you'll see the campaign page. And that looks good because then you can watch the video, you can see what happened with the campaign, and now you guys have created a way to link directly to buy the book. So you become like a valuable intermediary to sell more books even after the campaigns are over.
Yeah, it's value creation. Like we wanted our authors to be able to continue interacting with Publishizer, post their campaign through the updates. And when they've published their book, it's great. We know that they've published it. We can stop sending them reminders to post updates about their campaign. If they do click through and buy it on Amazon, we get an 8.5% fee. It doesn't cost anything extra or something, but that's just a built-in benefit of that. But mostly it's just because sometimes these pages rank higher than the Amazon page because of all this activity that's been going on. So they can just see it and like, oh, there's Sanjeet, they watch the video and there's the buy on Amazon button over there. They click through, they buy on Amazon, and everybody's happy. The author has managed to capture more readers because of this campaign page.
So let's say two things here. So under this video where you're watching this, we're going to have some links to some of the campaigns that we've run for our authors, which you can take a look, see the video, see the results. And I think Guy wants to offer something special to the Summit audience here in terms of getting feedback on your book proposal. So Guy, do you want to let everybody know how they can get some feedback from yourself and the team on their proposal and development, considering running a campaign on Publishizer?
Yeah, definitely. So if it's something which you're thinking about and you want a bit of help on either your book proposal or just understanding a strategy, like, who are these publishers? How do I work with them? We offer book proposal assessments. It's free. It's very like having a chat like you and I are doing right now. We go through your proposal. We let you know which sections are really awesome, which ones need a bit of work, which publishers might be a fit for this, just to give you an idea of what to think about. Obviously, marketing ideas and how to go about getting this out there. So if you already have a book proposal, which already puts you like right at the top just drop me an email, guy@publishizer.com. Send it through. I love receiving proposals. I love reading through them and, helping them in whether they use Publishizer or not. It's fine. I love the industry. I love the book. I love people getting books published. It's a thrilling feeling to be a part of that. But if you don't have a book proposal, it can be a bit of a complicated process. There's a lot of information out there, but it can seem a little intimidating. So we're trying to make it as easy and simple as possible. We've built this book proposal template. You just go to publishizer.com, click submit a proposal, and we will walk you through step by step to submit a book proposal. We break it down, we give you help text. There are a bunch of videos coming from Lee, who's working on to show you and explain more about what each section means. Then just submit it to us, we'll receive it, and we will go through and give you a book proposal assessment, give you advice, and try to help you along the way. It costs nothing.
Guys, guys and gals, you don't know how valuable this is. Here you have an offer to get professional insight, professional advice on your book proposal. Save you a ton of time of trial and error or learning things the hard way. Get in touch with people like Guy and Lee Constantine over at Publishizer who are doing this all day long, and save yourself the headache.
And I'll mention one last thing as a shout out to the newest member of our team, Yana. She's working more rigorously with our authors on their proposals. Literary agent from Corvisiero Literary Agency in New York. She's done publicity at Penguin Random House. We want to be able to bring this traditional Big Five book world stuff, demystify it, share it with our authors, and give you a really professional perspective on how you can get in front of these guys. If that's what you're looking for, that's something which we can help you get in front of them too.
Nice. Yeah. Great shout out there. And I just love the team that you've put together and what you're up to. Maybe we can start to bring this to a close, and you can say, from your view, this high level view, where do you think the publishing industry is going? How do you think things are evolving and developing over the coming years?
I actually think you're right spot on, Jesse. Hybrid publishing is pretty much the fastest growing part of the book publishing industry right now. So there are a few really exciting things happening. Authors are getting more options. New business models are emerging. Companies like Lifestyle are kind of pioneering the way. And, I think you're going to have a lot more competition coming up over the next couple of years. But that's fine. Different publishers are focusing on more specific niches. Yeah. Rather than being a kind of a general publisher for literary fiction or for lifestyle books or business books. It's like, we work with PhDs, we work with people who are focused on a specific type of literary fiction genre. Like yourself, you work with entrepreneurs, and that's valuable. If you are an entrepreneur and you want a book to, build your business and your brand, that's a very different kind of story than a traditional publisher. They're not going to be giving you the hands-on career insights and working with you to get your book in bulk deals and speaking engagements. They won't. That's a different kind of thing. So, we think that it's a great thing that there are going to be more smaller presses, independent presses, hybrid presses. The traditional world, it is still going strong, and I believe it will continue, and they do fulfill a very important function in book publishing. But it's just about finding what's best for you. So, audiobooks are the fastest growing book format. That's kind of exciting. Coming from the digital side, I've always been excited about the potential for interaction and animation and multimedia content within books. I still think that hasn't even begun yet. I think that there's so much more that can be done. Embed a video at the beginning of your ebook. Say, hi, this is my book. I hope you enjoy it. How nice would it be to have that personal interaction with the author? It's inbuilt.
It's like a digital version of a pop-up book, right? You open the book and you're like, hey, there's the author.
Yeah, we're not talking about apps. We're talking about EPUB. It's an open format. You can embed videos. You can embed audio. Even JavaScript. We were messing around doing crazy stuff in EPUB back in the earlier days, but that hasn't kind of happened. And I still feel there's room for experimentation and for just pushing the game forwards.
I like it. Well, I mean, I appreciate the kind words, and as an author that worked with two different publishers, I've got to see it both ways. And as also being a lifelong entrepreneur, I tried to merge. What kind of publishing company would I want if I were to start over again? And the answer was simple: one that focuses on the bigger strategy of what I'm doing in my business, and one that focuses on marketing and actually helping sell more books. And that's the exact kind of publishing company that I've built and continue to build. And it's nice to have a partner in you guys, Publishizer, who really get it and have provided a platform in an easy way for people to aggregate your audience, build your audience, your readership, and pre-sell books, get in touch with publishers, and make some money selling some of your own services. So a lot of innovative stuff. I know right after the summit wraps up, we'll both be in New York for Book Expo America.
That's right.
Looking forward to that. We'll have
That'll be fun.
Fun night out in the Big Apple.
I'm going to book a booth near you so we can hang out.
yeah, we got to chat about that. Any final words of inspiration or wisdom for all the authors watching us now?
I'd say just do it. You're thinking about writing a book. You've got a lot of unanswered questions in your mind. Don't worry about it. Just take just one step in front of the next, one step at a time. Start talking with people. The biggest mistake most authors make is they just go into isolation mode. They kind of no, I need to lock the world away and just focus on this thing. Don't share it. Open up. Start talking with people at an early stage. Talk with editors. Talk with designers. Talk with friends who've written books before. Talk with Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press. Talk with people who can just share advice with you. Writing a book is a momentous milestone. It's a kind of a lifetime bucket list task thing. So people want to help you. People are often overwhelmed with the support they receive once they start opening up to it. You just appear out of nowhere after years of hibernation, hey, buy my book. It's the wrong way to do it. So yeah, that's my advice. Just get on it. Take the first step, talk to people, and keep it fun all the way.
I love it. I totally support it. Don't create your book in a vacuum. Don't go hole yourself away in a cave. Make it an interactive, collaborative process throughout, and you'll have that group of core supporters that have been with you since day one, and that only helps when it comes time to publish your book. Guy, thanks so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy and really appreciate what you're doing and coming on the summit and sharing with our audience.
It was a pleasure, Jesse. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you on a future interview. Bye for now.